Hey, good morning, fellas. Ken at Tortoise Capital. This is the Creativity202 check-in for, I think we're on lesson 11 now, session 11. It is May 7th, 2023, and we'll do a quick check-in, see how the team is doing. Chun Long, how are you doing today?
Yeah, very well. Really nice weather outside. I was hoping it will rain because, the land got dry. So
Mm,
it did rain last night. I
yeah,
hope.
yeah. And Jeff, how we doing?
Excellent, doing great. Um, yeah, same old rainy kind of weather in Louisiana, but that's just part of being here. So I'm good.
Very good. And Damien, what's going on?
Well, like I told you earlier this morning, yard work is done for this morning. And this week I had a aha moment, and we'll be sharing that with you. So everything is good.
Awesome. Great to hear. And Ernie, how are you there, sir?
Doing very well, thank you. And had a good week, and it's this was a great lesson. And like Jeff and I were talking about, I'm looking forward to the next one where it talks about acting or resting. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. And things are going pretty well here. Great day on the soccer pitch yesterday. Kids were awesome. A couple of the little guys on the U6 team scored their first goals ever, and you could have knocked them over with a feather. They were so happy, and their parents were had great fun. And they showed really good teamwork and respect to the other team, so I was just really proud of them. And uh, I have to tell you, the guys at the Koala Writer completed their bulk writing instrument, which I'd asked them to do. And last night I set up 3 writing projects. One of them was on the following guidance: find the top 30 totem animals that indigenous peoples around the world have used as spirit guides, making sure that you have the monkey, the bear, the gorilla, the wolverine, the coyote, and the eagle, and the owl, and the beaver on it, but complete it with 30. Characterize their qualities of spirit. Suggest ways in which those qualities could be very useful for a trader in order to help build emotional resilience and strength. And then suggest a meditation process that could be used to routinely remind us of those qualities and bring it into our consciousness as part of our preparation. I had it run one as a sample. I then said, do that, iterate those 30, go. And then one on the top 200 systems thinkers in the world, the idea they're most known for, processes, models, concepts, and whatnot. Pick the ones that seem like they'd be directly useful to an experienced trader looking to improve their systematicness in an industrial manufacturing trading process. Then make a concise list of initial action steps for new traders, immediate application steps for experienced traders, a list of other resources to go for instant use, and then 5 resources for deeper follow-up. Check 1. I like it. Iterate on the list of 200. Then the third one was identify the top 30 theories of education in the last 200 years. The leading thinkers, the models, the processes, the advice, the resources, references, examples of lesson plans. Assemble that into a research reference for my doctoral candidates of education. Ready, go. So, and then went to bed because I felt like I had done my due diligence. so that I could wake up in the morning with gratitude and thankfulness for having another day. Because if you don't go to bed with your due diligence completed, you're going to dream about it and wake up in a high hover and sweating to get things done that you should have done. But if you do your due diligence, you can go to sleep with a clean slate. Did your best, so be it. Come at me. Take me when you're ready. And then nobody would ever trade $10 million for the promise of tomorrow. Like if I said, I'll give you $10 million, but today's your last day on earth, or you can wake up tomorrow and see what happens. Which way do you go? If you're not a liar, you say, I want to wake up tomorrow. Because you realize. So if that's how important waking up is, the act of waking up, you should program yourself so that you instantly feel that rush of gratitude and forgiveness for everything you're going to do today. And let that be the first thing every morning and the last thing every night. And everything in between will probably go okay. You know what to do there. But get well started. Get to no lose plus dinner for two. That's worth $100 to me to wake up every morning. I got $100 I'm going to spend on my wife. How am I going to do that? She doesn't like that because she controls the purse and she doesn't like me spending money on her like that, she says. But I notice she uses the things that I get her, so we'll see. Anyway, that's my check-in from here. Things are going pretty well. The bulk writer is pretty amazing. And I just went over 1 million words of my monthly allocation of 2.5 million words. I only get 2 weeks to finish up the other 1.5 million. Here we go. Yeah, Junlun.
Yeah, can you add links to your totem animal, spiritual animal, that list?
To add which one? The links?
Yeah, the links.
Yes.
The one I liked.
I think he's on there. The links is on there. Yeah, he's on there.
Thank you so much.
Because I actually I kept going to like 100. It wasn't till it got up to around 100 that it started to repeat. And I noticed the links was on there. I was thinking about you. But I mean, it started at 100. It's starting to look for things like the Afghan hound and the whale shark. And it's like, okay, that's enough. I probably don't need the spirit of the alpaca, to help me with my trading process. I may be wrong, but if you're working your way down the list to the alpaca, you're in a pretty good position somewhere. So that's what happens when you put this creativity stuff on there, and you get. I mean, for 60 years, I'm 65 years now. I have always been thinking, man, I wish I could work as fast as I think, but not faster. And this little koala writer is showing me what that's like. And I just keep getting the feeling that it's saying, could you hurry up? Because I got this capacity to use, and you're not using it, so. I got 40 articles in the queue being written right now, so I bought a little time. So if you ask a good enough question and iterate it enough, you can stay ahead of that little koala. Who has enlisted a whole army of beavers to help him with raw materials and keep things going, things like that. So I'm really enjoying that project. So that's what it's like out here. So I'm going to hit the tones and move us into the room, and let's get on with let's do some creative stuff for a change. Here we go. I'm going to start because I have another one on my mind. My work in progress that's associated with that writing. Jeff, you'll recall that from yesterday morning we ended up off the record talking about the path and what the path
Yes.
means. And I had it actually try its hand at a spiritual essay, and it brought in the Sherpas and base camps and guidance. And I'm glad I did because Paul, our friend Paul, is really needed to read that last night and have a discussion with me this morning. He's in a tough spot emotionally. And then the idea about, hey, the path is a path for a reason. Why is it a path? Why is a path, and what does that represent? It made me start thinking about what we're doing in between the true story circles. You know, we're thinking about working on all the stories and I'm thinking about what I'm going to say, a week from now. Well, what am I doing now? So the power and the beauty and joy of a true story circle makes you want to think about it, and that's at a moment in the future. But you're on the path right now, taking steps. So how do I bring the spirit of the living true story circle into internalize that as my ongoing lens? If the true story circle were simply lenses that I'm looking at as I'm walking along, then I'm always in a true story circle. Then that solves that problem. But then as I was just hitting the tones here, I said, hey, let's do something creative for a change. As soon as it left my mouth, I realized, there's two important meanings to that. And that's going to be an essay like the Path essay. I meant it humorously and, hey, let's try and do something creative as a change of pace. But then I also realized that if you want to actually change things, you've got to be creative. So let's do something creative for a change is a perfect Taoist Zen double meaning thing that just makes your mind go poof. Which is what happened as I was hitting the tones. And that's my work in progress and my little moment of Zen for today. Uh-huh. Jeff.
Okay. Can everybody hear me? All right. Yeah, so this lesson was pretty interesting. Sun Tzu, what struck me the most was how ruthless he was in the beginning. And as I thought about it and read it more, I realized he was a very smart individual. We're still reading and talking about and using his strategies and tactics all these years later. But I think most of all, he was totally prepared for that meeting. And he was totally committed and courageous. I mean, he was all in. Those bold steps, he didn't know the future. He didn't know how the king was going to react to having his two concubines killed. He could have killed Sun Tzu right on the spot, right? He didn't know that. So those were the things I came out of the story with. He bet everything on that move, and it worked. And I can do this in trading only because I have a properly sized position with a stop loss in place in the market. That's my shield. And I can be ruthless with my losing trades by cutting them off when I'm supposed to, and ruthless with protecting my profits by activating the sniper exit when I'm near resistance. Exercise 1, I'll tell a story about the past. I reached out, actually a group of friends of mine and none of us had the courage to do it alone. So we got together and we reached out to the most legendary pilot and teacher in the business about a decade ago. And my friend made the phone call and we had just expected a rejection. He was retired, and he was famous and retired, and he lives in California on a golf course. But to our surprise, we negotiated for him to come out and train with us for a week. So he came out, agreed to train 3 of us for a week. He flew with each of us once a day for a week, and we had lessons and late night discussions and all that. And it was an awesome experience. But I remember walking away slightly disappointed because I thought he was going to teach us this secret stuff that nobody had ever known before. And his focus was safety. He taught us some awesome stuff on how to stay alive and everything. And now, after reflecting for a decade, I realized he did give us more than we could have ever hoped. We just didn't recognize its value at the time. But his lessons have kept me alive. A large part of the reason that I've succeeded for the last decade. So that was a great experience. A group of us got together, and Dan, I'm going to share with you my trading work in progress, the Trade Your Partner system. And I have some stuff I can share, Ken, if I can share the screen. You guys see those slides? Okay, so Dan Bloom and I exchanged rules to trade each other's system this week. The very first lesson that came out of it is when I received his rules, I read them, and I really didn't like them the way they were, so I made a change to them before I started trading him. And then I gave him my simple set of rules, and he made a change as well. So that happened exactly like Ken and Van have always said. But he gave me the SSC pattern to trade. So I traded that to the best of my ability for a couple of days this week. And this first trade was great. CVS was down more than a range stat. The purple bar on the left is the range stat, so it sold off hard. Had an SSC entry. So my modification to his rules was that I'm trading on the 1 minute chart here. So I wanted to let it come a risk box off the low before I entered. That was my entry. And so the first trade was good. You can see the entry and exit there. And then the second trade is actually a kata 2, but in the spirit of our exercise, I took that as an SSC simply because I had 3-to-1 risk reward to the top of the prior swing high. So Dan and I discussed that. This trade here is actually a kata 2, but I have enough risk reward to the upside. So I took that trade just as something to discuss. This was a simultaneous trade in Cliff. Did not work out so well. Entered, got out with 0.1. Should have been a 0.2 or 0.3, but I didn't get it. And then the next page is another trade in AI, and you can see it was really choppy. It wasn't trending. It was kind of in a chop phase, but I took this as an SSC based on our rules. It had moved down far enough. Exited at no lose plus dinner for 2. Re-entered on the kata 2, even though it wasn't part of our rule set. I found myself in that trade. Realized that it was lunchtime and it was just chopping sideways. So I actually moved my stop up a couple of tenths and got stopped out by 1 tick, which caused me to miss all of this goodness that came afterwards. The next trade was, this was the next day on TLT. It was just a single trade, SSC entry, and then I exited it at 1R. It got up almost to 2R, and I was protecting 1R, dreaming about it getting to target, and it stopped me out, and I did not take the kata 2 reentry. And then the last slide is something that I accidentally discovered during my journey of trading 1 minute charts. So this is the first 2 trades that I showed you in the first slide mapped onto a 3 minute chart. So you may feel like you're really late or sloppy on a 1-minute chart. Oh, I just left so much on the table. And I just accidentally discovered this one day. I pulled up a 3-minute chart and it had some drawings on it from the day before. And but it doesn't look like you're late on either the entry or the exit on the 3-minute chart. And the other thing that was illustrative about this chart, see if I can get it over there, move you guys a little bit, is this is pretty good evidence for Ken's 30-minute swing trade philosophy, because I took the SSC a few ticks off the low and the next day it gapped up huge. So that's what I have there. I have one more thing to share, which is my personal work in progress. I'm going to switch documents here. You guys see the next document? Hang on a second. I'm having trouble managing my screen here. Maybe I'll go back. Maybe I can. Let's see. Okay, there we go. So I read Ken's essay last night on craft knowledge, and this is what came out of that. So I just put that as the top of my work in progress, which refers to the skills, experience, and expertise that you have to, as opposed to theoretical understanding. So this is my path, trading the sniper system. And this is what I thought it was going to look like. So this was my first 30 trades that I ever took on the 3-minute chart. I was super happy with my results, but this was the first 30 steps up the path. And I had walked those 30 steps many times in my life, but I never went any further than that. So this is a very small circle of comfort circle, I guess. It's basically a kata 2 long pattern that I've been trading for years. Very few or no shorts, no stop and reverses, none of that stuff. So I'd never gone past that point until I decided that I would try for the top of the mountain. So the reasons I wanted to do that was to learn to trade the short side, to learn to stop and reverse without hesitation, and to learn to add positions at the 2-hour battle drill. So that started my journey. This is the actual path. This is what it actually looked like. So far different than I thought. This is 3 months and 350 intraday trades. And you can see the first 30 were really nice and satisfying. The 200 or so in the middle were struggling and making every mistake that a trader could make in order to learn the lessons that are there to be learned. And then the last week or so, I've been talking about how to balance. I talked about balance and intention and things. So things have started to come together, and actually took me 350 trades to get to a new equity high in this account. But there's the actual journey, what it looks like. I've made hundreds of mistakes. I've learned hundreds of new things. My belief is that in order to transform my book knowledge into a deep professional understanding, I must live through the execution of the ideas and the results that the activity produces. So a few of the things that I've done in the last 30 days and 350 trades, I have listened to the 2-hour battle drill every day for 30 days during that time. I had a MP3 recording of it, and I just listened to it in my truck when I was driving back and forth to work. Same thing with the no lose plus dinner for 2 every day for 30 days. Took 350 trades on intraday time frames. Oops, I apologize, guys. Get back to my working on a laptop. I'm sorry for that. I've learned to create and maintain a trade journal, a trade log, histogram, and I recently created a coach's journal. I'm still learning, discovering, and then rediscovering, and then organizing the information and reorganizing it and practicing all of that stuff daily. And from my view, it looks messy and imperfect, but it's the only way that I know to do it. So that's how I do it. Anytime that I discover something better than what I'm doing now, that I try to incorporate that. So my plan going forward is just to keep showing up and doing the work. I'll monitor my performance and progress, and we'll see where I'm at after another 300 trades. I've generated several hundred pages of notes and trade journals and stuff that I have to go back and mine for learning. And I do that on a weekly and monthly review basis, but I don't know that I've actually, there's still stuff there that's valuable. I've learned to be, I've become a lot more comfortable being uncomfortable, but it's still not, it still doesn't feel comfortable sometimes when I'm in a trade. That part of the middle part of this journey is this chop in here, and a lot of those losing trades are mistakes. So I experienced 2 internet failures where my laptop and my computer both went offline while I was in the middle of 4 trades on either a 1-minute chart or a 3-minute chart. So that was interesting. Something to think about if you're a short-term trader. And I also at one point just gave myself the freedom to do whatever, turn the monkey loose, let you do whatever you want. All these ideas you think you have, the rule is you have to document everything so we can go back and assess those things and see if they're actually good ideas or not. So I did that for a while. Then I got tired of doing that because it wasn't producing any results. And number 10, I now have a working knowledge of descriptive statistics, spreadsheets, the proper use of new trading tools, the capabilities and limitations of my own trading platform, the reality of trading intraday versus what I might have thought that it was going to be like, and who I must become to trade successfully. And then this is the last week and the last 30 days. So at the top, it says, don't stop. If you keep going, it does get better. Try not to flip the page again. So the results are in the realm of the first 30 trades with a couple of exceptions. On the first 30 trades, I was just trading. I wasn't working. I wasn't taking Creativity202. I was 100% focused on trading. And I was in my own wheelhouse where I had lived for years trading. So, and the market showed up and participated. In the last 30 trades, I'm juggling work, this class, and other things, just trading the standard patterns, the SSC, the collapsing dragon, and the Kata 2. I also did that exercise for 2 days with Dan where I didn't take collapsing dragons. I just did the SSC. And you'll find that you have to get used to that. But if you commit to trading a pattern for 1 day, you just have to trade that one. This is just pure pattern execution, no setup, no higher time frame setup, none of that stuff. I'm still working on adding positions. So I started last Friday. If you guys remember with the trading error, the previous Friday, so a week ago Friday, I had a trading error that turned an execution error that turned one winning trade into 2 or 3 losing trades. I would actually say 3 losing trades. So if I hadn't have made an error on that exit, I would have had 1 losing trade and I would have 1 winning trade and I would have avoided 3 losing trades. So that was on my mind when I went in on Monday morning to show up as a professional. Monday actually went really well. I was pretty satisfied. And then I got confident and showed up Tuesday and it was a disaster. I had 5 losing trades in a row. So I was back to where I started. On Wednesday, showed up as a pro, followed the rules, did good work, and Thursday. So now I had 2 days of evidence in a row and I thought, okay, I got that past me. And then Friday, I had 4 losing trades in a row. So that's the reality of what my week looked like. It's not what I thought it was going to look like when I started the week, but it's what it looked like. So those are the actual results. I have a metric that I'm using in my assess phase. It's the biggest metric that I use, which is trader efficiency. And I use that with the idea that there's 5 days in a week and each one of them has a weighting. So I showed up and followed my rules and paid attention and stayed out of the chop and all those things 3 of the 5 days. So I give myself a 60% trader efficiency number for the week. You could use that on a monthly or yearly basis or or you don't have to use it. But for me, it's kind of my grade as a trader without getting into the minutia of the bar by bar and trade by trade, although I do those things as well. So on the path of planning, preparing, and executing and assessing over 350 trades, I just estimated that I probably made over 10,000 decisions. Some of them were good, some of them weren't. I see 3 things that I got 100% correct. I did the work, even though I had reasons not to do it. I didn't want to do it. I procrastinated for 6 years before I started this journey. I never quit, even though I had reasons to quit in the middle. A bunch of conflict and things that I told myself, but I didn't quit. And then I still remain committed to doing the work, even though there are other things right this moment that I'd rather be doing. All the things that I learned are things that I could not, me personally, I could not have learned them in any other way. And for me, the lessons and the learning are in the doing. So I thought that was kind of, at least in the spirit of Sun Tzu's lesson. I hope.
Junlong.
My word of last week is release. Now, what I learned from the Super Tutor program is handle my feelings. So at the beginning of the program, the major things for me is I'm willing to feel my feelings. So it takes maybe 1 or 2 years to really realize that. But for me, it's still, yeah, I know my feelings now, but what do I do with my feelings? That's still an issue for me. You know, I realized all those heavy feelings from past still, drag me down. That's what I mean, release the feelings, especially when I take a trade, all the bad feelings from past trading come out and drag me into a circle to repeat the same old bad habit and end up with a bad mistaken trade. Also realize, there's a question in Super Tutor program, how do I know I can trade a system? I realized, I need to get a holistic feeling about the system so I can trade it. But that's not the end of that. Yes, I get a feeling, I feel good about system, I take a trade. Then the result of that trade may, drag me down again to repeat everything again. So I get the part. I know I can trade the system, but when the bad result come out, how do I do with that? That's the thinking in my mind, how to deal with that. So last week, I started the week with a kind of preparation, say set up. So I decided to trade the OR3 because I fear the volatility of the openings. I said myself, found the trade, take the trade. So that trade didn't go well. That it didn't go well because I didn't get out when I have a 1-hour loss. I still believe in the direction I believed. So instead of get out, I actually see the reverse again. I add another position, say, hey, if I get this position right, I can easily get a break even. So that's the mistake taking me down. I know it is a mistake. I try to avoid that. But, the bad habit, so powerful, I didn't get out. I realized that. And then that mistake, introduced another mistakes. So I repeat the same bad habit pattern. Although the result is not bad, but I realized that. So that's the Monday. So Tuesday in the early morning, I haven't traded again. I haven't started trading something personal come out from China. So I decided, okay, I cannot handle the feelings again. And also I have another appointment. So I decided I don't trade Tuesday. So Tuesday I didn't trade. I thinking about my Monday mistakes. So I don't have the power to trade Wednesday and Thursday. So what do? I don't want to trade. I don't have the power to think about the loss. It's not a loss. It's just the repeating of mistakes. So I look at my schedule. I have something else to do. So I do the other things. Just get the feeling come down. So Friday I feel the duty of the trader or the duty of apprentice. I take a trade no matter what. Just take a trade. So I decide to take a trade, decide to, no matter what, take a loss at a 1 hour. So I did take a couple of trades. It's not really a bad day, but just try to avoid repeating my bad mistakes. So for the whole week, actually, the whole week is a 10-hour winning week. But that 10-hour come from something I didn't plan it. So still, that's a mistake to take that trade, the money take to make it a 10-hour. But, I think about that for the week. So Saturday, I said, I was in the super trader program. I have to review my toolbox, just how to handle the mistakes I have take. So that's the end of yesterday. Just to review my toolbox to handle the mistakes I have made. So that's the week of the trading. Today's lessons is, I read that lessons. I remember there's exercise in super trader program. Go out on the street, whatever, talk to a strangers, do something for that strangers. That's really eye-opener for me in the super trader program. Is really so talk to strangers, do something for the strangers. The result is always good. It's nothing to scare off. That's what I learned from that lessons. So reading today's lesson, I keep thinking, what do I learn from these lessons? So the lesson is, how to face the uncertainty. So every trade is an uncertain situation. How to deal with that? just practice by principles. So feel quick, feel forward, and by design. If I remember that principle, I can face the uncertainty every trade forced me to face. Let's move on to the next week plan for the next week. Yesterday I reviewed my toolbox. I thinking how to do a SWOT analysis. So for next week, I have to do once again. This time I have to do a true SWOT analysis. True meaning is not a superficial exercise. I have to feel my feelings, really go deep down to my mind, deep down to my heart, say, hey, what is my true weakness? Why I have repeated my mistakes again and again, and then do a SWOT analysis to that. Based on really understand myself. The next plan is watch a 2-hour battle drill video every day for the whole weeks. So I did that last week. Every time I watch that, I get something new from that. I will use that as a way to synthesize what I have learned. There's a 4 decision to make. What the decisions I have to make corresponding to what I have learned. Expand that into the knowledge basis. The other plan I have to take the snapper trading based on 3-minute charts. I have to focus on less symbols. The one rule I have to implement is one trade only. That's meaning I don't take a next trade before I close that trade, because I realize my patience. If I lost my patience, I move on to the bad habit. So the rule is one trade only. Before that trade close, I don't take another trade. Also, take the perfect setups. I wait. So hopefully that get me better deal with my mistakes. That's my plan for next week. I hope.
I think, Damien, you raised your hand. Go ahead.
Oh, I didn't. Did you raise your hand, Damien?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't see it. Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. This week was a very enlightening week. I started the week with 2 positive days, and then Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, all hell basically broke loose. And on Thursday and Friday night, I had a meeting with Ernie, Jeff, and Tom, and the aha moment came, and I shared it with the group, but I'm going to share it today. And the first thing that I came to notice is I am not taking trading really seriously, I'm finally came to realize that I am basically gambling, which is not good. All my position size are bad. Everything is not done the way it's supposed to be done. And that's where the aha moment came, is I have to take this as a professional trade, not being an amateur. And I decided that I was going to start following our sensei's lead, and by just trading one stock until I get this mastered on just one pattern and one pattern only. We're going to do it the basic way, because any other way is not going to work. So trading options at the present time, because I have a small option account, is going to be on the sideline. I figured that if I trade a stock that's in the range of the $20 to $30 range, I can probably trade, 100 times, so I don't get hit by the pattern day trade rule. So I'm going to be fine, because there's no way I'm going to make 100 trades in 3 days. So we're going to be good. So we're going to go back to the basics, and we're going to do it one step at a time. And that's the way it's going to go. And Ernie and Jeff are going to get my trades when I have them, with all my comments, as well as you can in the evening, so that I can start improving my trading. And that's the way it's going to go from now on, I hope.
Ernie.
Well, I want to thank Jeff for really screwing up my week. Little side comment that he puts on there, that he's going to do the work, and he's going to do a great job. He's going to tear into this trader exercise, and who else would like to come along for the ride? And I did not know that getting involved in that was going to turn out the way it did. It's a great lesson. I really like this, and just kind of jumping into the fire, committing to something. It's a great, I do identify what Sun Tzu went through to my investing, jumping in there and trying to do something that you don't understand, risking your hard-earned money. It's not the same as your life, but it's pretty important. And so I had an idea of what I was going to do, but then when I was talking with Jeff and what he was doing, and I thought, I really I like his commitment, and the short time that I've been able to talk with him and stuff, I really have admired his dedication to his profession, and also that he brings that to investing. So one of the things, whenever I started Creativity, there was one thing that I would say that I knew, and that was that I did not want to do the accountability thing. I really didn't want to bring other people into it. I didn't want to restrict myself. I didn't want to be making commitments, and I'm going to say that I really fought it. I knew it was a good idea mentally. That was not a problem, but and I saw how it was successful, and I think most of you know that Tom Hardison and Joe Greco, how kind they were to me when I did not want to talk about the accountability. I thought, going to them and asking them questions, and then that would um, take care of my assignment that I have for creativity, so I can just let them talk about accountability, and I don't have to really get involved. But I really learned a lot from it, and so that started something. And whenever I think Tom Sullivan and I talked about possibility of working together a little bit, and then Dan, he and I had talked a little bit, and so I thought, well, the three of us will do that. So we had been doing accountability for about 3 months. I think we started in February, and that was going fairly well. And for someone who didn't really want to get into it, I really sort of I won't say I didn't take charge, but I really wanted to. I was establishing the structure. I found something on a website that talked about accountability, and it basically, you have your plans for the week, and it's structured in such a way that what were your wins, what plans worked, what were your losses, what failed, the fixes. Um, when something didn't work out, what did you do, and what are you going to do in the future? My favorite is the ahas. There are certain things that happen, and that um, you just want to realize it, put it down, and then a little bit about the goals. So we had been doing that. We would send each other. Well, I guess I would, because I would send the reminder. We're going to get together Saturday at 2:00, and I took that outline, and that's what I would send to say that here's how my week went, and a little bit of an idea of how I hope the next week goes. And so I like that plan, and I felt like wins could be anything, not just investment, not just successful investments, but positive things that improved my investing. And because one of the things, like gambling, I think that one of the dealers said the worst thing that can happen when you go to Vegas for the first time is to win, and that's really true. Haven't had that experience, but it would have been. But it's really good, because, like in this situation, I'm finding that even you can be successful, you can have a successful trade, but it's not really a win if you broke a rule in the process. Like setting a stop and ignoring that stop, and then all of a sudden the thing becomes a win. It's really a failure because you did not follow your rules. And in a sense, being successful with that particular trade is really going to, in my case, it will mess up the mind of a new trader, because it seems like it's pretty easy, and it's not that easy. And the fact that you broke a rule, you're going down a dark road, and it's not going to be a successful journey. So I really like the outline, and we've been using that. It kind of helped whenever we got together and talked. And so I, in trying to do the lesson, I was writing down my rules to give to another person. And it was funny to me because I thought I was finished, but then you go back and you go, well, I need to explain this. And then I realized that I saw what the lesson was trying to accomplish. And I think I saw it, because it made me realize that even though I think I have a rule set, it isn't complete, and my plan is to wing it. And so, and then that means that I'm setting a stop, but am I really going to stop at that point? And the reality is, I'm going to think there are other factors that have popped in there, and therefore I really should let that stop go and not follow it, because now in the heat of the moment, I'm changing. And so I'm thinking, boy, I really do have a lot of holes in my rule sets. And so trying to tell someone else how to trade my, like supported spring crossing or a collapsing dragon, am I really identifying all the factors? Have I planned for every possibility? It's not just, it may go up, it may go down, it may go sideways, but there are a lot of other nuances that are involved in that. And have I really covered that? And I'm thinking that I can handle it when I face it, but I'm not really able to put that down for someone else to follow. That was, I learned a lot from just doing the exercise myself. But at the same time, I'm trying to, whenever Jeff and I talked a little bit about it, I came up with the idea of expanding our accountability group, because Jeff and Damien have been working together. And I thought, well, we will all do this exercise. You know, if 2 people can benefit from it, well, what about 5 people? And getting the perspective from that many people. So for me, I'm starting to change my whole concept of accountability and partnership at the same time that I'm trying to do this lesson. And that was a little much for me. I'm an old guy, you know, I can't handle a lot of stuff. And I don't move as fast as I used to. But I really started trying to come up with an idea of combining our 2 accountability groups and putting them together, and what that meant, and also trying to do this lesson. But I was really surprised about I was surprised about how well the accountability group that Dan and Tom and I had done. I thought we were doing very well. And then I really thought, what was going to happen if we expanded that to 5 people? Because that was one of the things that Tom and Joe had told me, that they felt that an accountability group would work, but it would be a little bit more difficult. And I think one of the things that they had from their accountability group is that they formed a friendship. And so getting together became more than just investing. It became a little bit social as well. And whenever I want to say accountability group A, my original one with Tom and Dan, we really didn't get into personal things. We kept it strictly the investing side of it. We didn't know each other. We only met through the creativity. So that we didn't know the personal side of it. But then Dan had a grandbaby born. So it starts to get a little personal. You start to get to know each other better and care about what's going on. And I'm thinking, you know, well, this is going to be difficult because we're going to get larger, and how are we going to handle that? But, you know, we're going to be able to work that through, you know, just setting up some basic rules. I really felt like that really needed to be done, that we needed to have a plan. And then what surprised me is that I'm jumping in here and starting to set what that plan is, I guess. I'm building the structure. And I felt like that. I kind of felt like I was overstepping. But I'm hoping, and so then, but I thought I would really continue with it, because that was what I was working on last night until about 1 o'clock in the morning. I wasn't doing my lesson plan like I had planned. But then I realized that when I was writing my email to everybody, that was my my lesson, you know, for the creativity. And I'm thinking, well, I'll go ahead and finish this thing, and now I can talk about it because I was trying to bullet the thoughts that I had. You know, like when do we get together? When do we talk? And if we're going to start inviting, or if our group was to grow bigger, what will we do? And then I felt like there were some things that just write it down. And you know, we've expanded it one time. We may be expanding it again. And I knew that if we did, it would be good to. It needed to be people from the tortoise community, not outside, because we have gone through a very involved process, and we've there is a language to this, you know, collapsing dragons, the owl, Godzilla. We don't need to be, you know, so we're already flowing and functioning very well. And to mess that up would be, I think, would be pretty bad, and not a good idea. So, and then one of the things too, I had started, you know, with that little outline. I was really, Jeff was sharing his charts and marking them up, and I realized that really having that and seeing how somebody trades and actually seeing it on paper in chart form, you know, seeing those patterns, and that was really, for me, it's I was really learning a lot from that, and so it really, that's really what getting together and talking, that's how I realized how important that was. So I really like that. So I wanted to throw that out there and say, you know, let's send each other the charts, you know, let's talk about that. So I wanted to just throw out ideas and share my thoughts. I was a little bit uncomfortable about it because I felt like I was overstepping. And but then it was like, if I don't put it out there, how are we going to, you know, how am I going to be comfortable about it? I have an opinion, and I want to know everyone else's opinion. So if I don't share my opinions and my thoughts, then how are they going to share theirs? So I just thought, I'll take a chance. And I think that's part of what Sun Tzu did. He took a chance, could have been fatal. And I thought, you know, I really like to see this go, but I don't want to be saying, well, here's what I think, and nobody likes it. And then the whole thing dies. And then by opening my mouth, you know, then I'm thinking that I've destroyed the possibility of something that could really be good. And I really think this will be good. I think that there was just little things. And I know one of the things that I was a little bit concerned about, we had talked about, you know, doing the Zoom meeting. And whenever we did have our discussion, it was really a good one. And Damien said something that, and at first it was really good. I liked it because just as the creativity session, Ken records it, and we get so much out of it by coming back and reflecting on it. And I really thought the discussion that we had that one night, and that it was really good. And Damien said we should record this, you know, and yeah, we should, you know, and then I can reflect on it later on. But then I kept thinking about it, and it. I personally, I didn't really want to do that for a couple of reasons. One of them, I wanted to be able to speak freely, which I know that we can here as well. But I really trust Ken, and in all honesty, I've known everyone in the group for only maybe a few months, so I'm not there for total commitment. Not so much that I don't trust them, I don't trust myself. And I wanted to, and I think that whenever I wrote the note, I'm pretty good about not using certain language, but as I get more and more comfortable with you, then I am going to start saying what's on my mind. I'm going to speak first and then think about it. Right now, when I meet somebody at the beginning, I try to be careful of what I'm saying because I don't know their viewpoints. I don't, you know, and I want to make a friend. And I don't know, but I don't know the person that well. So I'm gonna try to be my true self, but I do put up a little bit of a facade. I'm going to be careful of what I'm talking about because you don't want to be incorrect. You don't want to. So, and I'm going to try to watch what I say. But I'm looking forward to our group being an environment where we do say what's on our mind, react. When I do something in my investing, I want them to be honest with me, and therefore I need to be honest with them. And so then I thought, well, I just need to. My thought is that I don't want to record what we do in our accountability group, and so. But how are they going to know that if I don't say that here's my viewpoint? Is Saturday at 2:00 in the afternoon? Is that a good time? Well, how are we going to get there if somebody doesn't put something out and say, how does this time work? And then let somebody say, no, it really won't work for me. Well, now we can get in there and work out the details. So and I thought I really wanted them to know that my goal is to be very respectful of their opinion and their viewpoint. It may not be mine, but I really want to hear it. And I want to be able to say, here's what I think. Not because I think it's the right thing, but how are you going to give me your side of it, your objective viewpoint, unless I throw it out there. And if your first reaction is that it's the dumbest thing you've ever heard, I need to hear that. And then we can talk about it. And then I want to be able to, hear everyone else's viewpoint. So I wound up writing this wordy email, and fortunately nobody's written me back yet and said, your email sucks. And this was the worst idea that you ever had. And thank you for throwing it out there. Now I know who you are, and I don't want anything else to do with you again. But anyway, I really have enjoyed the planning of it, and now I'm excited about it because what the interchange that we've had has really been great, and I'm looking forward to doing that. And I am really, really surprised at myself how much I fought this, how much I rejected it, and it was something that I was always afraid to say that to Ken because it's such a he knows the value of it so well. And I just felt like it would have been disrespectful to say that I really not too crazy about this idea. But letting myself go and trusting the experience of my coach and listening to my coach, it really works. And it really works even at this late stage of my life. I'm not in high school trying to learn how to play football or baseball or something. And I'm trying to learn how to invest and the value of the coach, and listening to what the coach is saying and just accepting it, even if you don't like it and don't understand it. What does it hurt to try? So it was really, so many things went through my mind this week trying to do this lesson. It's really been a great ride. It's a great adventure. And so it's another period where I have learned from not only from Ken, but from all of you guys. And I'm also learning to not really, because it was a little bit frustrating trying to get all this set up. But if you just go with it and relax, and we're learning a lot of things. I was going through logic, plotting, adaptability. I was learning that they're more than words. I'm reading them. But the thing is, to make it work is you don't just read these things, you do these things. So it's been good. I've really enjoyed it. So thank you for listening, and aho.
I'm gonna ask you to listen to the word that bubbles up to the top. That will help focus you for the week ahead. And then then I'll hit the tones again, and that'll move us into coffee time. Chunlong.
Focus.
Damien.
Excitement.
Ernie.
Try.
Jeff.
Time.
Agreements. Yeah, I got to take off in a few minutes, but I would just say, Ernie, I think it was me, you, and Jeff were talking off the record about, different ways in which accountability groups and circles and true story circles can go. And what I found really resonating with your true story was my experience with trying to manage 3 different kinds of true story circles by type. One of them was sort of just an open-ended community open house, and you're starting with the assumption that everybody's coming here for the first time, nobody knows anything, and we're making first steps. Usually those things are around some kind of issue or topic or, village issue, things going on, and we're trying to solve something. Then there's one which is like the focused one we did with Boji and that crew, where we had a core group of people that were going to look sequentially at 50 issues that we had nominated, voted on, each one a word a week, and we were all going to bring a story on that subject. I found that was beginning to get narrowed and harder to bring in newer people, and then there was sort of a finite amount of work that it could do, and then it was just like it had run its course. And I balanced that against what we're doing on the Saturday morning check-ins, where it is strictly you come in and the theme is work in progress, but it's whatever it is you want it to be, and it doesn't have to have continuity from previous weeks, and everybody going in there knows that that's what's going to happen. And so there is sort of an implied culture, but there's also like maximum freedom, and then you also get the social connectivity of the tribe. The one we're doing with Creativity202 takes the form of, well, there is a guiding lesson or group of lessons about which we are starting our focus, but then we're going to follow the stories wherever they go that week and report on the thing that had the biggest impact. So it is like halfway towards, a directed topic and a theme and just absolute whatever it is you want to talk about. But all of those tend to take the form of having an explicit set of agreements that are the precondition of coming into the room. This is what our identity as a room is, or as a group is, and what you can expect from others if they abide by the agreements. And then a notion of that the room is being based on an assumption that we're going to abide by those agreements. It comes with it an implied hosting responsibility to lead without directing, to guide without shaping, to, to ensure that the room lives up to the agreements that we've established, and then to do something if those agreements are not being held, knowing that everybody in there can leave at any time they want anyway. But as the host of the room, there's an extra bit of responsibility that comes with hosting. And I noticed that when I was doing, not only creativity sessions, but Saturday morning sessions for our work in progress group, and then the Boji word focus group, that when I passed the hosting responsibility to somebody else, it was a measurable difference to me in what I was doing and how I was thinking and how I was experiencing that room. Because when I was a host, I felt like my first obligation was to abide by the agreements while doing my best to listen deeply and to tell my story when it was my turn. When I did not have the hosting responsibilities, I only had a person of one to manage. And it was a huge difference in that. So the process that we went through in the various groups to be formal about the development of agreements places trust in everybody else's perspective, and it recognizes that they are free people to do whatever they want. And so as a person, I am now entitled to say, here's the kind of circle that I'm going to host, and where I'm going to do it, and if you'd like to come there, these are the agreements that my intention is for us to follow until such time as our group norm maybe adjust those and we shape through adaptation in our experience. So you're getting to experience all of the joy and suffering that comes with thinking about being the first speaker, as Asimov would say in the Foundation series. Being the first to speak among equals and to establish the responsibilities of a good host. That's actually a thing that I'm working with Boji and the True Storytelling Institute for people that hope to facilitate circles in a way that is consistent with his teachings. How do you let people be who they are and accept them as they are, and yet still run a circle that people came to because of expectations that they were going to follow these agreements? That's the chicken and the egg kind of a thing. How do you define that role, and how do you perform it in the moment when you are evaluating what's going on in the room and trying to decide, are we still within our agreement space, or have we moved into the? And I see that even in our sessions, where there are times when I just take the responsibility for saying, I'm going to make a statement here in the True Story Circle while the iron is hot, because I judge it's that important, and then take the consequences. But I try to announce that ahead of time so people can hit the panic button and opt out if they want to. You know what I mean? So I could have said this right after you said your thing, but I elected that it would be recent enough in our memory that I could afford to wait to get into coffee talk. So even inside that sacred circle as a host, I'm no longer deeply listening only. I'm actually doing some processing and making some decisions. And that's part of the, the imperfection of mankind, is that we got to deal with those moments as humans. So I'm happy to see you suffering along those same lines that I have been. And that's my coffee talk contribution.
I've always been worried about that I'm going to drop the F-bomb and then find out that somebody else is a part-time minister or something, and then I'm really going to feel bad about that. But you get so relaxed, and you just say what's on your mind, and because you're in a safe space. But sometimes I find out that I'm not in a safe space, and you really don't want to offend, but it happens.
Yeah. I find it when I'm the host and it's being recorded, I don't use F-bombs. And it's probably just a better way to be.
It is. But it sure helps to get it out sometimes.
Yeah, it does. Mark Twain even said something about that and I'll misquote it, but it's something about something like in times of great stress, profanity offers a relief that's denied to even the most religious of prayers. Something like that. Well, I'm going to do my gentle checkout here, and I'm going to turn off the recording. I'm going to pass the baton to Ernie, so he can be the denouement, the hosting duties for the after party, because I have to get over to the soccer field here and set up the field. So let's see, turn off the recording.